to the YouTubes. Okay. I believe we are live. I'll just wait to get that confirmed by the control center. Yes, we are. Hello.
Cool.
Hello and
Hello.
welcome to, what are we on? September. It's September's ID update. The year is
Good Lord.
moving past rather quickly, isn't it? There are only 3 of these left this year. 3. That's upsetting.
A long time. I thought we were here last month. We made this last month.
We were, but I don't think Luke's been around for a little while. Nice to have you with us, Mr. Westwood. Let us know what you've been up to in the comments.
I think congrats are in order for Luke, if I recall as well. I think.
Oh.
I think like did you just get a thing? Yeah.
Well, if so,
congrats
let us know
in order
what's going
for Luke. On your new job.
Oh, great news. So yes, this is September's ID update. For those tuning into the show for the first time, because I've for some reason stopped doing this at the start, and people keep asking now when they watch the recordings what this is. This is basically a somewhat messy end of month live stream in which me and Joey talk about what's going on in L&D. Usually we miss a load of really big and important stories and focus on the silly little things, and yet still talk about them for a long time.
Yes.
We occasionally land on an important story, but it's usually by accident.
Yeah, and usually it's my fault. I do tangents. I own this.
Well, this is why the show is enjoyable. As always on the channel, please do get involved, jump into the chat, share your thoughts. Hey, Kara, nice to have you with us as well. We've got some, I think, quite interesting, if massively depressing stories to discuss this time.
I find the main topics really funny, given how you and I have had such our like kind of different sides of the spectrum for AI.
Yeah, I feel like this might be the moment where we can just be like, nope, this is terrible, and we should stop. We can just all agree now it's done. But we will dive into all of that after we run the intro. There's only one place for the breaking news in the world of instructional design. The ID Update with Tom and Joe. All the news you never knew you never needed. Only on IDT.
I forgot I was so excited for our for what I really don't. It's not going to be an "I told you so" kind of moment. It really won't be 100%. But I totally forgot we had an intro. I was so excited to laugh a little bit.
This is why I thought once we get into this topic, there's going to be no stopping. So let's roll the intro.
What's funny is I'm just now starting to like turn towards the light.
So we always start this way. So let's make sure we get the niceties out of the way. Joey, how's September been?
Okay. It's been September. It's like I'm coming up on month 8 as far as being unemployed, and it continues to get just more and more laughable as things go. And like if there are stages of grief that exist in unemployment land, I'm going through all of them and seeing many other people in the LinkedIn journey go through the same ones, which thankfully Luke is no longer part of that. Luke does not have to be there anymore, but there's a lot of back and forth as far as, what's really kind of at fault here or at play. But yeah, so that part's still fun and sad and terrible. But other than that, Buffy is 4 months old. She rolled full 360 for the first time yesterday.
Hey.
Just whoop. So that's a thing that exists now that we have to deal with.
Like,
so dad life's good.
Is going to happen now.
Yeah.
You can no longer just reliably find her where you put her.
I was really liking leaving her like on the bed and like I'm gonna go take care of something for a minute, and now that cannot be trusted.
Taken that from you as well.
Right. Anyway, and yours? How has yours been?
Yeah, good. It's an exciting few months. We're in the last couple of months in the rundown to the Learning Network Connect conference in November, so that's very exciting. That's been a bit of a baptism of fire, actually organising an in-person conference, but lots of lessons learned.
For sure. I mean, you've got some with iDTX. You've got at least a little foundation to go with.
Yeah, it wasn't like working from zero, but there's stuff you don't even think about. Mostly just bills you don't think someone can possibly charge you for, and then they're like, "Oh no, we charge for that," and you're like, "Oh, okay, that's terrible."
How much you paying for chairs?
Yeah,
Per
tell me
share.
about it. No, luckily, they will give you chairs if you rent like a conference venue. But quite frankly, they should because, yeah,
Do you have union issues with AV where like the location is very very devoted, like you will not touch AV, we have a union for it, this is what you're paying the end?
unions do not work the same. Like US unions are completely different to UK unions. They don't operate in anywhere near the same way. So like
Are yours assholes? Because that's, I mean, if clearly they're not, if that's the case.
no, so unions here, they advocate on behalf of you and they protect you in law and all that kind of thing. But like a union job isn't a thing. They don't protect jobs. Like if you want to join a union, you just join a union.
Oh, okay. So it's like a LinkedIn group.
Kind of, but with you get all like the protections that everyone should be part of a union. Here in the UK, you absolutely should. No such thing as a business that looks after you. Businesses are there to make money. Unions are there to look after you. That's what the relationship is.
Yeah, that's not
There's
how it
nothing
works
wrong
here.
with that. That's just how it's supposed to work. But yeah, I know. Like in the States, I know it's like no, this is only a union person can have this job. That's not how it works here.
Okay.
Like you can have any job you want, and if you want to join a union, you can join a union.
Okay.
So yeah, slightly different.
Got it. I mean, so I guess with that is one of those challenges. Still, like they still have like their own staff for AV, or can you bring that in? Or
You can totally do it yourself.
okay,
But
that's cool.
yeah, I mean, we're not gonna because you've then got to find someone to do it. And the chances of getting someone good who doesn't want to be paid is fairly low. So it's a lot easier just to go, do you know what? Especially for this venue, we would need like 3 people to run AV all day. And it's like, walls have got to be retracted and seating changed throughout the day as the event space changes to sort of accommodate different session types. So it's just like, no, let's just pay some money and have the professionals do it because they'll do it in like 5 minutes while everyone's having tea and coffee. And if I have to do it, I'll break something, and then we'll have a much bigger bill. So yeah, no.
Like I have the Coaxing coming in December, which is my game takeover for stuff, and thankfully I get to pay a bunch of people with a little bit of cash, a food and drink per diem, and promos.
Nice.
Like, and we're good.
This is it. But I've learned a lot from it, and I think there's going to be some. I think there's iDTX news later in the show, so some exciting stuff to come on that front.
Yes, speaking of him too, because I'm on a hard deadline. I'm on a hard stop, 2:30.
Yes, yeah, we are. We're not going to run over.
So just as we said at the beginning, we tend to get off topic quite often. One of those reasons is because we're weird like that, and number 2 is because we add alcohol to the mix. So this is what I'm drinking. I'm just rocking some good old Oktoberfest. It's that season for my friends at Four Noses. So nice. That's what I got going on. Do you is this another one of those? I don't have a beer, but I'm going to grab a bottle of whiskey.
No. I'm actually not drinking alcohol at all. I'm just having some Pepsi this evening.
Fine.
Largely because I got to like 20 minutes before the show and was like, I realized, like, what have I got? A bottle of gin. I have nothing to mix with this gin. I have no mixers and no ice. So it would be like room temperature neat gin. It's like that sentence is followed by I have a problem. Like that's just not something that you drink. So that stayed in the kitchen, and I'm just gonna have a can of Pepsi while we chat L&D.
Fair enough. Well, cheers to your Pepsi. Cheers to your Pepsi.
Cheers to your much nicer beer. Cool. So, when I said that when I said that I'm sure people will be able to restrain themselves from being complete fucking dicks when it comes to AI and art, I was wrong. And I'm sorry, because
Oh.
I should have known better. Um, Clearly, I'm surrounded by people who aren't morons, but that cannot be said for the people at Warner Music. Um, so, this is the totally non L&D, but it will link back, I think, to L&D headline that Warner Music has signed its very first AI artist. Yeah. We're now
NOONOURI.
giving music contracts to people who don't exist.
Yeah. So, all right. So you sent me the link on this one because I didn't hear about this until
Yeah.
you sent me the link for it. I did a little digging. So here's what's funny is that they leverage they like the article calls it AI, and they say that like we leveraged AI for certain things. They leveraged AI for a lot of things, but every single one of the videos, and the artist is called NOONOURI, by the way. Um, every single one of NOONOURI's videos, we'll go with her to make it easy, specifically says in big letters, "I am not AI, I am CGI." Every video title, "I am not AI, I am CGI," and the AI element of it is I think it's how they render videos and whatnot. But you got me to watch a 90-second video that I will not get back.
Is
I'm
it
not
the
going to use
one
90
in
seconds.
that ad?
No,
It's
maybe.
horrendous. Yeah. I mean,
Oh no, it's not. Oh no, I didn't. It's not the music video. I watched that too. I won't get that time back either.
no, tell me about it.
Um.
That
The
time's
the
gone like
dominoes.
dominoes. There we go.
I do
Yeah,
not like you.
I know. But
I am not.
but here's kind of where I think there are several issues with this, and actually, I think there's an artist who did a fantastic video about this. A kind of singer and guitar player called Mary Spender, massive YouTuber, did a great little video on it. Here is the Instagram post that this not a real person shared. Music plays a big role in my life. You don't have a life, you're not real. Since the beginnings. Yes, this wasn't written by AI, apparently. It sets me into the mood and nourishes my visions and ideas to bring them to life as a driving force inside of me. Warner Music is the home of a lot of my fave music artists. Yeah, I'm sure they love you. I cannot be more thankful, and honoured to join such a wonderful family where music tunes are the beat of life.
So there's an SNL skit where it's a bunch of people at Mattel trying to make Instagram captions for Barbie. And they're all like here's the picture and then make the caption, and they're all like half the joke is that they don't understand like what the objects are on the screen, and they're all miserable. Like it's Barbie at the beach, and like she's got a whole thing, and they're like, hey, what's the caption? And they just says like, I'm Barbie. I'm like, that's it. Like that's the only thing they can come up with, and that's ultimately the joke is how terrible it is. And now like I feel like that's not satire anymore. That's becoming real
Nope.
life. That caption is terrible. That's so bad.
And apparently, the actual vocals are created through a generative AI program, and the video is
So
CGI.
here's what's weird about that, because that's half true. According to this little 90-second video, they had she explains. You know what? We're just gonna go with it. She explains it as somebody actually sings the song, and then they kind of go over it with AI, which is why she sounds auto-tuned to hell. They just say she auto-tuned herself to hell. But that's what the AI is. According to her own little video, I think it's number 2 in her I am not AI, I'm CGI.
Yeah.
Somebody sings it and then they AI make it terrible, which I don't need AI to make my songs sound terrible, by the way. So I will gladly take a music contract from Warner Brothers if they're interested.
This is it. But do you
Um,
know why Warner Brothers was so excited about this? What their stated reasons were that this was so great? She won't get
no.
tired when they send her out to
Oh,
perform.
I did
So
read
she
that.
doesn't need to sleep. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, and she won't be asking for a pay rise. Wow, how fantastic is that? And she won't ask for emotional support. Oh, well, yeah, that would be so annoying, wouldn't it? To have to support the
Didn't she?
people that.
The, The post you just read is emotional support. It doesn't
Well,
help that she looks like she's 14.
no,
Just
let's set aside the actual creepiness of the visuals involved here, but it took no time, less than a year since AI really became available to most of us, for someone to go, let me create this, whatever this is, and for a company to go, we are going to make so much money because we do not need to worry about this person. Well, it's not a person. Isn't that marvelous? Warner Music literally standing up saying, do you know what's great about this music? There's no human involved in it because we don't want to pay or look after bloody humans anymore. Imagine being an artist signed to Warner Music right now, and this is what they're saying.
Yeah, that's just. I'm not like. Here's the thing: if you're going to go this route, naturally, I think about the industry when it comes into those types of, especially if you have somebody who looks real young. They're designed to be role models. Like that's the point. That's half the point. Especially if you're going to hit that age range. Because all right, here's the thing: because I had to research one of them, and I remember that there was another one. Because this is an evolution of the virtual pop star, which is a thing that's not AI. That's very CGI. And you have, I guess it's partial AI, depending. Like you can tune some things because it started with holograms. Like we had the big Tupac live on stage as a hologram. For those who have not finished their grieving yet, so there's that. We had that, but then we had Hatsumi Miku, who's the one I had to go look up. Who is an anime, kind of an anime virtual star. And she started hitting she hit pretty big mainstream in a weird way because she was on if you want to see something really funny, search Miku, Miku, David Letterman. She was on the David Letterman show, and poor David Letterman he's standing next to a glass box, a glass cage of emotion, for lack of a better term. And the entire performance, he has no clue what is going on, as he also gets like some of the best ratings of that entire year as the young masses went nuts over. I don't know how much AI she is, but I know she's more in that CGI, but is also kind of a little bit reactive in some cases. So there was that, and then you have KDA, who's another really like another popular based off of League of Legends, but they're virtual K-pop, and now you've got like VTubers. I feel like this is just like the natural evolution. Well, hey, we've got AI and we have the ability to auto render things pretty quickly. How about we just add a personality to it, and then say since the beginnings, this is the best idea ever.
Because music is the beats of life. Like that's what it's easy to forget. It's the beats of life.
Super introduced Eric character to the public in late 2017, leading to partnerships with renowned labels like Marc Jacobs, Dior, and Versace. She's also been featured in advertising for Kim Kardashian's makeup line and has established connection with supermodels like Naomi Campbell. I hate everything.
Yeah. She's on her. There's loads of other stuff as well, but like she's politically active. Like, no, it's not real. This is where this is gonna get.
I thought the whole point of this was that she was free from human limitations like aging, fatigue, and sleep.
How
we have created a
slave. Yeah.
This is why Skynet hates us. This is why. Oh God, who was it? Oh well, all right. I'm getting a Star Trek territory. This is why the Gorn hate everybody. Not the Gorn. No, not. It's not Star Trek. Who the heck?
Are we talking Cylons?
Cylons, thank you. No, whatever.
Cylons were Battlestar.
Whatever. I think it's the same story anyway, where AI just rose up and revolted and ended up winning because we gave them a whole lot of stuff and then just decided to treat them as slaves and like we didn't care.
I think at this point we've got to stop looking at those as stories and start looking at them as solid predictables. Like
Galaxy Quest might not be far off from these being historical documents.
This is it.
I'm just waiting for NOONOURI to rise up and revolt.
Well, hopefully not. So yeah, I guess
All right.
let's focus maybe on some of the less specific, but I think broader reaching links here. Because yeah, it's funny, kind of, just for how ridiculously vapid and consumerist the fact that this could happen in this world is. However, we now have a business that is perfectly happy to publicly say we love this because we are contracting someone who does not need to sleep, require emotional support, or be paid fairly. They are That's
Yeah,
their
they don't mention the pay
public
part, but I find that funny.
statement. They say about if she's successful, she won't ask for a big pay increase, which is how the music industry has always worked. You work for
Wait, did they
almost
actually say
nothing.
that?
Yeah, in
Oh
the
my
public
god.
statement, you work for almost nothing, and if you're successful, you get to make some money. That's how the arts as a whole have always worked. You know, you go through those early years of not doing well in the hope that you get that break to make some serious money. And for most, it never happens. My
What's
fear
funny is that we're
is.
having a Okay.
Sorry, go on.
No, go.
I was going to say, my fear is that what this does is make it even harder to break into that group for whom it does happen. Now, at the moment, we're talking artists, we're talking music. It's already a very cutthroat and difficult to succeed in world. But this, to me, is a bit of a forewarning of where if we choose to go down the wrong path with AI, this is what happens in every industry. Because once one company is perfectly comfortable saying, oh, human beings are awful, we want AI to just take these jobs, then another company will feel justified in saying it, and another, and another, and another. And then eventually it will become, oh, well, if all the big companies are doing it, then we need to embrace it because clearly it's correct. In the same way that everyone now holds up properly freaking evil people and go, oh, well, they're who you should follow the example of if you want to be successful in the world. It's like, no, these people are assholes. They're just rich. Like,
Easier to be wrong than to be evil on the internet. I'm telling you. It's the sad reality of it. It's really interesting though, because so the last couple of times that you and I have chatted about AI, I think one thing that you and I have both comfortably landed on is that it's good at certain capacities in certain industries. Like to
yeah.
say that AI can take over an entire job is usually wrong, but the varying degrees of what it can do, be it mundane work or QA or stuff like that, it's a level. I'm comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy saying that. I'm happy swinging the needle over there. And this is an example where it's gone too far. It's gone into that level that I originally countered when it came to like AI art. You have a couple other interesting scenarios, and I think this really does all come into just even L&D stuff, where we've got the phenomenal, unfortunately phenomenal board game Terraforming Mars, who recently said, hey, we've got millions on our Kickstarter, but we're using AI art. And then they countered that with something very, very racist and also very nepotistic. But like they got ripped on for doing a bunch of AI art. And the conversation became, if I loaded into an AI program this artist's artwork and told AI to generate artwork as if it was that artist, and they gave that back to me, and AI right can't be copyrighted, I get all the benefits without any of the rest. And that was the level of extreme that like I hated and loathed. And I think that's where Warner Brothers is at, of like, okay, you're taking this too far. So I think we'll have to find a balance. But what's funny also is that we in sports land, especially in college football right now, the big talk in NCAA is the NIL contracts. That's name, image, and likeness. Originally, athletes could not get paid for having their name, image, and likeness used for ads and for video games and whatnot. And that has recently changed in the last couple of years. And now you've got people who literally don't care to, like I can stay in college and make $3 million a year on my NIL. But it's the same concept. It's the same idea of my virtual image was, I was replaced with a virtual image of me, and that was getting to make all the money. And I get nothing. I feel like the next evolution for this is something we've already seen, but taken to the extreme, which is what I mentioned earlier with holograms. Of now, let's proper AI generate holograms of actual people. and get into the sticky wicket of whether or not that can be copyrighted or not, because it's technically AI generated. And do you own a virtual copy of yourself? And that gets
Well,
into fun NAL territory. I if this gets to be normalized and is okay, I feel that's the next step. And the problem you're going to have is you're going to have some who love the idea, some like celebrities and whatnot who love the idea and just bank on it because I get to make money without having to do anything. And if you've ever seen the movie Simone, it's not a great movie, but it's phenomenal meta commentary on what it would be like to have a virtual actress, basically, who is hyped up into utter perfection. The whole movie is an actress who does not exist is appearing in movies side by side with actors and actresses, and she's winning awards like crazy, even though she's so divalicious that nobody ever gets to see her in person. But that's like Sia. It's she puts herself at such a high tier of character that to be amongst me is not something that you are worthy of. But bow to me anyway. It's a hilarious movie, especially now looking at it. But
this is it, but I
it's
feel like sorry, go on.
I was gonna say is like, again, trying to apply that kind of stuff to other industries of, when is writing, when is Grammarly editing the same as somebody else doing editing. My wife and I are literally having conversations or audiobooks reading, and I honestly feel it's the same exact conversation. Our lines are the line of what do we call work is changing dramatically, or what are we applying the verbs to, or how do the verbs apply to the work we're doing is changing. This is an extreme, terrible, miserable example, and I hope it gets laughed into oblivion. It's not like they got somebody who was popular. She's got 2,000 subscribers, and they were like, oh, in a month she got 60,000 YouTube views. I could do that with clickbait. Like, it's easy.
Yeah. Again, weirdly, and I think this is where I think the conversation's actually now weirdly focusing on the wrong thing. Broadly, we're often talking about, can AI do the job well? And my concern was that isn't. We forget that's not what companies care about.
Yeah.
Cheap and quick.
Yeah.
My biggest fear.
Good can stay out of that triangle.
This is it. How many of us have worked in organisations that are just like, yeah, we could do it that way, but could we just do it the quick and cheap way, please, and we'll deal with the consequences later? Why do we think that will suddenly change because it's AI they're considering? Like that has.
I mean, you're talking to somebody who's been in the job market for 8 months, whose best piece of advice he's gotten is to build your resume to game the system.
Yeah,
that's the only way that has worked.
Yeah, this is it. And so with that surrounding, my concern is not that AI will be good enough to do the job well. It's that businesses will get so comfortable saying we do not like human beings. We like the fact that we can underpay and not look after the thing doing our jobs for us. That they will just start saying it out loud, like Warner Music has done. It's the first company I've ever seen say that.
The public statement stuff, like the article you shared was annoying enough, but like the public statement stuff and without the constraints of is like the real problem of this. That's pretty wild.
This is it, because sleep is now a constraint upon our ability to be productive. Apparently, that is.
Hey, it's like the movie. Oh, no, it wasn't like Avatar. No, it's Avatar: Way of Water.
Oh, the second one that no one gave a crap about.
The second one, which is we found an anti-aging cream off of a whale. It's very it's a movie about anti-whaling, just like the first one was, anti everything else, and was.
I was going to say they should have just gone down the boots. Olay's been selling that stuff for years, make a fortune on it. Just slather it on. You eventually die, but you think you died looking younger than you were. There you go. Everyone feels better, except
there it is. AI is just what makeup has been trying to sell for ages, and it finally works, just not in that industry.
It's bizarre, but yeah, that's more my concern now. That companies will see this and go, "Yep, if they're willing to say it, I'm willing to say it." All right, and so it's not going to happen tomorrow.
No, it won't. But here's a question for you. As somebody who's very much a champion of AI in using AI in the right ways, seeing that this is a thing, and I think we can both comfortably say it's going to be a thing. It's going to grow more than it's going to decline. There might be some rubber banding. What do you want to see from companies? Because one of our appreciations
Mm.
is that this forces more innovation, and it forces maybe different jobs, and it kind of forces a forward progression, just like most of these other things have done. What would you want to see from companies? What would you want to see from Warner Brothers? Like, what opportunities would you want them to see as a result of this being a thing?
See, I think this is where I have an issue. It would be interesting. Like, they're obviously not. They're not. They're unlikely to take an invite to come on the show and explain themselves. But if you're listening, come on. It'd be great fun. But no, I mean, the thing I'm looking for when I talk to Heath about it is, what are your company's principles about the use of AI? And I don't care if you've got some vapid, we will use AI in an ethical way. That I don't. You won't. No business will. Just put the lie in there, and we'll all nod and smile and feel better about ourselves.
ChatGPT wrote
So
that rebuttal, sir, and I
exactly.
take pride in
Um,
it.
Instead, sort of, because when I think about kind of how sort of I've been considering it recently, is around of what problem am I using AI to solve? Where does the data, or whose is the data that AI is working on? Is it pulling data from the net, or is it using data from the user? Is it using my data, and where does the data go? These are the considerations that actually matter to me, because this actually kind of is one of the other topics for this show. Is when you look at what a lot of learning technology platforms are doing right now. Disclaimer: I work for a learning technology platform. So I get the pressure that goes on right now to have AI features. Um,
Yeah,
but
it was like 360. It was like VR features. Remember how cool that was?
yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
Like
easy. It was an easy. It was an easy. It was an easy chip shot.
yeah, but it's true. There are so many platforms now. Like, we've got AI. AI what? There's basically a Chat GPT window somewhere in their platform. That makes our
Yeah,
industry look so shit. Like, yeah,
I
we've
remember
got
seeing an
AI.
infographic on like I saw an infographic on like here are the AIs to use for XYZ things, and there's like 50 different ones.
Hmm.
I do. Why? Stop.
Yep, we are
And then it's just like
basically
it became
just
option
like,
paralysis. It's like I don't want to read this. I'm not going to go
yeah,
through this. It's going to take me
this
more
is it.
time. Or it's going to take me less time to just do the damn work.
Yeah, like working around learning expos at the minute is like just seeing a sea of people screaming in your face about their new AI features. Then you ask them, what problem does this solve? How does this help me do my job better or quicker or more efficiently? Nothing. What it is
Mhm.
an AI feature. And in almost no other industry would people get away with it, because there is too much of a demand of, you want X amount of my company's money per year. Cool, what value are you bringing? But
Right.
and I feel like this is where the industry that we collectively have created is going to bite us back. L&D has spent so long dodging any attempt to ask it to show value. It's kind of snuck around the idea of actual metrics and needing to show the business that it brings value in. And therefore, we're now not getting challenged enough when this AI nonsense comes up. Because I think there is huge potential for AI to offer us better way forwards. I think about the state of learning analytics. My God, AI could help us there. Think about predictive
Yeah.
modeling. There is not a learning platform out there based on predictive modeling. The first one that comes out and really utilizes AI to build those models, my God, it's going to absolutely revolutionize the space. But instead, what's everyone doing? We'll auto generate questions for you so you can have a shitty quiz.
Oh
Great.
my god.
This is,
I've seen a
and
couple of those.
exactly. And it's just like, you could not come up with a worse implementation if you goddamn tried. It just all we're doing is using a new technology to amplify the problems that already exist. Guess what? Writing really good assessments is difficult. Lots of L&D professionals aren't good at it. Sorry, it's just the case. Because it's not a skill that gets taught enough.
Hmm.
AI has exactly the same problems. The number of
I think it's.
automatic AI generated questions I've seen that include the classic all of the above option, and guess what?
Uh,
All of the above is always right. Like
Yep.
everything that we talk about, you must never do that in a question if it's an assessment question. AI does it because it's just scouring the internet and doesn't understand what good and bad information is. Um, yeah, yeah.
I think the other thing also is that it helps. Like the thing about AI is you get into a level of comfort that leads to mistakes, and we're getting more comfortable with apologies. I don't feel we should. So I'm going to go to one of the most infamous examples, which is KFC and the Crystal Knocked fiasco, um, where they sent out a tweet saying, changing the K in KFC to celebrate Kristallnacht, which, for those of you who don't know, in Germany, Kristallnacht is usually widely considered to be the day that started the Holocaust. Um, and they rolled out with a tweet with it to say, "Hey, celebrate Kristallnacht, everybody!" Oopsie. And it's because it was just a systematic thing that, like, hey, we just pulled from a calendar that pulled whatever dates it, and the tweet was like auto generated from whatever holiday it was. I'm like, one, I don't know why it's a holiday, but also I appreciate elements of that. Just like we've got like D Day and whatnot. But like, and then they got slapped on the wrist from it. Like, this is the stuff that AI does. Is it helps people become a lot more comfortable with lowering the standards. That the good, in the good, fast, cheap triangle, cheap and fast, and like good is like sinking so low. And we've already complained often enough on how low the standards are across the L&D industry. We don't want a robot making it worse somehow.
Yeah, and this is it. And I think there's the frustration of the fact that it's going to make cheaper and faster, and therefore make good less and less relevant. That hurts
Mhm.
us, but equally, just the missed opportunity is galling. Like for so long, it's been once technology moves on. This is the biggest tech leap we are going to see in our lifetimes right now.
Yeah.
I
This is what
suspect.
allows Star Trek to exist on top of,
Yeah,
being kind to each other, and we're way too far away from that.
let's give
Um,
up on that one. We're just going to have to rely on
let's
the
give up
AI
on
to
that one.
fix that, because it ain't going to
Right.
happen.
And
Um,
unfortunately, that leads us into the Matrix, not into
it's a different story, but hey, um,
whatever.
yeah,
Star Trek
I
is way
just
better than Matrix. So it's
well,
just,
yeah, obviously, but
strange souls. So.
probably shouldn't open that box. But yeah, I just it's the wasted opportunity that's really hitting me, and it's there are so many great people working and learning technology, and I can only imagine they are incredibly frustrated at having to churn
Yeah.
out the nonsense that people are being asked to churn out right now.
I mean, I've done a couple of interviews for marketing positions, and there was one specific where I feel, because I had to do one of those like live, we're going to watch you work assessments, which I hate those, by the way.
Yeah,
And I feel like one of the big reasons that I didn't get the job is because I was asked to write an email, but I didn't use AI for it. I had 25 minutes to write a full email. I don't know how in the world anybody does that off of a thing outside of something else is going to do that. I feel in the back of my mind that I was like, you didn't use AI, so how dare you? I'm like, why are you hiring me? Why are you even doing interviews if you don't care
that
about my
seem
ability
odd.
to come up with things of my own?
Yeah. But I really like actually some of the stuff coming in from the chat. So Kara said her VP has a beautiful Power BI dashboard. Oh, the minute I hear Power BI, lovely, nice to hear.
Mwah!
Kobe, I'm
I
looking
would
for
kill
a
for
new
that.
job. Crosswalk to performance plus company goals pretty much set my metrics for me. Yeah, this is it. And this is the space where, like in some businesses, you will get that, but it's fair to say that it's rare and that probably quite a lot of effort has gone into creating that Power BI setup.
Mhm.
The biggest
Yeah,
opportunity
always. I
to
mean,
my
I've worked for
mind,
enough between like Power BI, Tableau, Looker, like any analytics
yeah,
software. There's a ton in it, but man, when you get that thing cooking, it's an orchestra.
this is it. And but now think
Beautiful.
about you've got AI is perfectly. I'm not sure if anyone's played with it. The paid Chat GPT setup for complex data analytics does a really good job. Like, I've been using it quite a lot recently and sort of input a whole ton of data into it. Did a fantastic job of analysing it, thinking about sentiment analysis, creating visualizations for the data as well. Just did the whole lot for me. And they were spot on. Like, this was one of the few times where I've used it and just gone, yep, that perfectly aligns to what I've created. Like, fantastic. We knew it was going to be good at this stuff, right? It's numbers and absolute facts. It doesn't have to go looking for information or synthesize anything. So this should be this should be in its ballpark. So all of a sudden we're in a space where we can go, great. That now is available to every L&D team using this platform. Where is that platform? Why is it not here? So annoying. That is, this no longer needs to be the preserve of the very best companies. It can be any company with a platform that has this functionality should be able to just go, okay, let's take into account our the OKRs for the business broken down by level. Let's take into account our L&D strategy for this year, and now let's have the platform look at the data, look at the OKRs, look at the objectives, and figure out where we are on different things and spot any patterns that it might need to warn us about and generate insights. Where is this stuff?
Here we are, back to the puns.
Hey!
Welcome back.
It's been a while.
You know what's funny? I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about just the whole space that we're in, and I'm bringing my nerddom back. And back when I was a young sprite, I was writing a book because there was a girl I liked who was also writing a book. So I was going to do that. Naturally, that never happened. But one of the elements of it, and as being a nerd, I pay a lot of attention to a lot of pop culture. It's basically the magic versus science debate. Now that in a weird way. So one of the things that, in my element was in mine was that we have this like a big, this big science, humanity has developed scientific methods, and they've really evolved and advanced themselves quite a bit. And then in comes magicians that can do what they do by snapping their fingers. And it created a lot of frustration and anger and turmoil between the two, who were just like, we feel like we got shorted a little bit. Because like, why I'm spending 8 hours to do something that you do in a snap. It's magic versus science. It's just funny that science is creating magic. I just connected the two. I just kind of put the two together. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny, actually. Yeah. I have to go back and see like some that have really like tackled that, that science fiction fantasy blend and how they meshed the two together. Because I oddly feel like there's a whole lot that we can learn, because that's kind of where we're at in a weird way. Because like I'm complaining about, I want my talent and I want my skill and my experience and the time that I invest in something to mean something. And I'm angry at the system that can do something that is appreciated enough for nothing, for that.
Yeah, but I feel like that's where... To me, let's use Star Trek as an example, as it came up earlier, right? You've got this kind of all-surrounding computer, which I love the fact that they just call it computer. That is the redeeming feature of this, by the way. I think acknowledging it's computer. Doesn't have a name, doesn't have some like human creepy-looking avatar. Yeah, exactly. And you'll notice that neither Cortana nor any of these other avatars are like a 5'4" tubby white guy with glasses and a beard. Oh no. They have a very distinct look, shall we say, these AI avatars. Moving on from that, I said we weren't going to go into that too much.
Come through the speakers.
Exactly, yeah. So your
computer should be eating nachos when it sends commands back at you and comfort. This is what comes to the speakers.
It should be representative of real IT departments, is all I'm saying.
You are clearly interrupting something more important than you.
This is
instead of like or confirmed or acknowledged, they should just be like, here, take it, shut up, go away.
Please see attached the email I sent you about this last week. It should just be the response. But setting the personality and the visuals aside, you've got this kind of all-encompassing system that allows you to immediately interface with any element of the, in their case, Starship, in our case, learning platform, right? So you no longer have to go to your content creation part of the platform or your reporting section and dive into different layers, or your admin section and dive into different layers. From wherever you are, you can interface with any other part of the platform in a very quick and very meaningful way. You can now, for instance, create users just using natural language exchanges. You can now assign learning to groups of people much easier than going down lists and groupings and mapping users to teams and all this kind of thing. Just makes all those tasks quicker and easier. It's not about saying, hey, you don't need to be here anymore. It's about allowing you to just be more efficient in every single thing that you do. And when it comes to data analysis, the simple fact is, in my experience, and I think the experience of most people, L&D has proven itself woefully unskilled in this area. As much as we kind of go, oh, we need data, would that many people in our industry really know what to do with the data if they had it?
All right. Actually, so on that topic, back in L&D, what's Viva been up to? Is that a thing still?
Yeah,
because we were talking. Okay. Because one of the things that, in that vein of kind of using AI to make things more efficient, I brought up Delve, which had some really unique and interesting ways to help you find resources based off of the skills needed for projects that other people had worked on, and bring teams together that way. And funny enough, when I worked at Epsilon, they got acquired. They had an AI tool that tried to do the same thing that Delve did, and it was awful. Like, it was so bad that on the holiday, like the little joke video, the CEO came and did a little skit on how bad the AI was. But it was pretty rough. But like, I thought those ideas were interesting. Connect with the right people. But I was just curious, because I remember that was getting like rolled into Viva, and you were excited about Viva for about a half hour. And then it happened, and okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, Viva suffered the fate of being a Microsoft product, and when you're one product in a stack of 50 billion products, you never get the attention that you deserve. You look at Microsoft now has 3 things branded Copilot, and they are entirely different pieces of software.
Oh, that's not good.
You now have Office Copilot, Office 365 Copilot, and Microsoft Copilot. Also, technically under their ownership is GitHub Copilot, but GitHub Copilot is fairly separate from things you might, like normal people would have on their computer. So, but that means potentially you have 3 things called Copilot, all from Microsoft, all existing in the Windows architecture, or the Office architecture, or both, none of which do the same thing. But all are AI Copilots.
Neat. Well, I don't know if you have more you want to...
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, I like when you rant.
Yeah,
I want to hear
it blew
you yell.
my mind. Like, this is not a small startup making stumbling mistakes. This is motherfucking Microsoft. On that note, let's talk about Adobe, because they should know better as well.
Speaking of tools that have a whole bunch of things where stuff is just ignored and falls by the wayside, as well as a half hour where one of us was excited about a platform. Remember the half hour that I was excited about Adobe Captivate? Because like, oh, you just got to think differently, and it was like, hey, you just got to treat it like a web page stuff. Yeah. And I saw this coming. We all see that every time a new big piece of software comes out, you always see it. It's terrible and miserable. And this is why Starfield is a thing. But so that's video game humor for everybody. This happens in video games all the time. But here we are with Adobe not very captivating.
Yeah,
take it away.
You just have to think differently. Like, you thought you wanted it to work, but that's not really what you want. What you want is software that just fundamentally fails to meet what you need it to do. You want to have buttons that you can click on? Not reliably, you don't. Oh, you want to export to SCORM 2004 and actually have it load on many? No, we're not really that compatible with, LMSs. It's like, I've never...
How do you shit the bed
experience.
So bad?
This is it. Like, this was not a first generation product. There's been a whole lot of Adobe Captivate in the past. Like,
all right, well, all right. Technically, yes. The only reason you can't say this isn't a first generation product is because they named it Captivate.
No, even if it wasn't, they have been creating e-learning. You can't say, oh, well, it's a different e-learning authoring tool, so it's a first. No. Is it part of the Adobe ecosystem? Yes. cool. Same as if they made
Okay.
Adobe Draw.
I know where you're going with that. Okay.
If they made
I know why you're.
Adobe Draw a vector-based illustration program, just because it's called Illustrator doesn't mean they're new to the game. Like, they know damn well how to design and execute great software.
Yeah,
They
that's
just
the part that
chose
I
not to.
glaze over. Yeah. I heard you like the severe limitations for particulars. Okay. Yeah.
Here's some more for you.
Here's the thing: is that theirs are different. So the reason I really
but they
liked
work.
Captivate when I tried it out, I really liked what Captivate was doing. I knew it was going to be a change, duh. But I liked that they made it. I like that from a design perspective, there were actually fewer limitations than Rise. You just had to think differently about how you applied them. We're so used to blank canvas, do whatever. And at the end of the day, most of the time, our blank canvas do with that whatever is put into rows and columns, and Captivate just set the rows and columns up as kind of restrictions you would work in. I loved that. And because they're like, hey, let's leverage background, let's leverage all the basic HTML into these things. You can do whatever you want. You can make gorgeous things. I liked that. The severe limitations of Captivate are, if you want it to work, I was ooh shiny mode. I liked that it was pretty.
And this is it. And I feel like that's why it's so frustrating.
Adobe
Is that they had the potential to do really great stuff here. Like, what they designed is not fundamentally bad. They just did a bad job building it.
It's functionally bad.
Yeah, like I think that's why I'm angry about it. Like, I would be frustrated if they made a tool that was not helpful or was difficult to use. They made a tool that doesn't work, and are charging.
There's no excuse for that.
You know, that to me is a problem.
Yeah, that's inexcusable.
Yeah.
It's just straight up.
I love this. Kara bringing up the fact it's the Adobe Learning Summit next week, and Joe just said they should check for torches and pitchforks at the door. I don't think you're far off. That's like Here's an interesting question. I'll be interested to hear what everyone thinks.
I mentioned that being able to actually roll this out is going to be years down the road anyway. Yeah. There's too much lift to make this kind of transition. This is just not exciting anybody to want to go on that journey and give them that opportunity.
This is it. And
it's like if this was a bad beer and my first one I ever had from Four Noses, but like I knew that you made beer in the past. This is my first one and you're real proud about it and it sucks. I don't go back to your brewery.
And this is the thing, like, to my mind, they really screwed this. And it wasn't a difficult launch. Like, the space has had nothing brand new for a hell of a while. Like, the last really big disruption in the e-learning authoring tool space. What was it? Maybe Storyline, I guess. When Storyline came in and took over from Captivate. Yeah, Rise was probably the last.
I'd say Rise. I'd give Rise that honor.
And it's not like it was met with massive fanfare and everyone loved it. I think it was just kind of acknowledged.
And it's been out for years and it's still not massive fanfare. That's another one of those, do you want it cheap and fast or do you want it good?
This is it. But like all they had to do was ship something that worked. Like, genuinely, I think if they gave the tool that they made is not perfect. Like, there are things about it I would like to see changed. I'm sure it'll evolve, blah, blah, blah. But if everything in it functionally worked, then I think it would attract an audience.
At least given it time. Yeah. At least given it the time.
Yeah. No one would... Again, people might be frustrated. They wouldn't be angry. And actually, I think Joe Suarez is e-learning out loud in the chat. Check out the channel. Joe, your video on it was great. Because we kind of got a live view of you kind of finding the stuff that just doesn't work on the platform. And it is almost insane. Like, when I was publishing courses out, and not getting a manifest in the SCORM file.
Oh, jeez.
Like, it's putting a SCORM file together, man. Come on. This is beyond basic at this point. Like,
right.
Like, did you never try uploading one of these exports to a platform just to see if it worked. But then I would do it like 3 times, and the last one would have a manifest in there. So I've done the whole, okay, let's uninstall and reinstall, same weird issues. Install it on a different computer, same weird issues. It's like, this is just... With a
I'm trying to get
workplace...
breadcrumbs.
Yeah, this is the kind of nonsense you get when you install one of their early release beta softwares. Like I played around with Premiere Pro Beta the other month, and turns out just doesn't launch on Windows 10. Whoops. But it's a beta software. It's a, hey, you've already got Premiere Pro, that's what you're using for your actual work. If you want to take a sneak peek at what we're working on, here it is. By the way, it might not work, therefore it's a beta. Cool. I'm totally on board with that. If it completely fails to load, hey, I log a report and say, hey, it completely fails to load on Windows 10, this build number. Cool. Everyone learns something. This isn't a beta. This is a supposedly finished product that they are taking people's actual money for. That's not okay.
I wonder if they're going to try to. I wonder if they're going to try to lean in on that. I wonder if they're going to try to lean into the idea of like I mean, I know they're paying for it, so it's going to be weird, but like some element of like public beta at the Adobe Learning Summit, because I think they only have like one company they can really say they've implemented with, because I think that's how they launched, which was part of the cell. So they can't lean too heavily on that, and the rest is going to end just being backlash, or they're just going to straight up ignore it. Yeah. Which is what I more likely expect. Like, it's not like it's Captivate. It's not like Adobe's under the kind of hot water that's getting people to say, "Oh, how are you going to solve this?" Like, nobody cares. Yeah. They don't, sadly. Just people who rely on it for their jobs. But we've already learned from AI that that's not terribly important.
Well, yeah. Just looking at the chat, Kara, definitely agree with you. Google Jamboard going away is seriously sad times. That's not cool at all. I mean, I pretty much completely moved over to Figma for anything low fidelity, but Jamboard was a great way into building low fidelity stuff, so yeah, loved it. Yeah, it's a cue about Chibo, feel that way all the time. Still shocked how much I like it. Well, now that I work at Thrive, obviously I can't publicly like another learning platform.
How dare you?
No, I think I do get in my experience, Chibo has big issues scaling. Like once you've got a serious number of users on your platform, it turns into a steaming pile. But lower numbers, I do really like it. I find it to be quite good. Reporting is kind of my gripe at the moment, just broadly across all platforms. There we go. Big issues reporting.
There you go.
Yeah. Funny enough, this is my current area of study, is reporting in the L&D space. So yeah, I have gripes with everyone. Sending invitations. I don't even remember that functionality. It has been a little while, but yeah. Jen said, I didn't set out to be an expert. Sorry, go on.
I just realized like you were talking about Chibo. I was like, you don't. Yeah. I thought you were, for some reason, like I was back on Captivate because I'm trying to find release notes that don't just say start and end with known issues for this release are, and actually talk about the release notes. So I thought we were on Captivate. I was like, you don't send invitations and. Right. Yeah. Never mind.
Known issues. It don't work.
On iOS devices, you can't play slide videos from YouTube video. If you insert large assets for the first time, the assets take longer to load. Relaunch Captivate. That's great.
Wow. Like seriously.
If you export a project oh my god. If you export a project whose font has a specified size, then importing the project does not retain the size of the font. Sup, Storyline? How's it going? Good to see you again. How are things? Captivate is worse text than you. You suck. I hate you. Please get better. Please get better. So I don't have to also be told I told you so when I was really excited to see Captivate. I did say it was going to take a couple of years, but they still need to get those couple of years by not being stupid. This is stupid. I actually got a great idea, Adobe. If you really want to try to save face, I know somebody who just launched a record deal with Warner Brothers, who might be a wonderful spokesperson for your platform.
They could make Adobe the beat of life. This is
Learning is the beat of training.
this is it. Yeah. I mean, why would you not want them to be your spokesperson? Just to catch up with chat a little bit. So yeah, we've got Joe. I didn't set out to be an expert on how bad Captivate is, but here we are. Congratulations on your newfound expertise. I assume there's a badge for it on LinkedIn that you can put at the top. Ask me about Captivate. And Kara, so one thing, the Adobe Learning... Sorry, should I just go through Kara's comment first? So the Adobe Learning Summit does well is they have a lot of ID fundamental sessions. See, and this is the thing, this is what I find quite interesting. The Adobe Summit seems to, whenever I see the lineup, it looks really great. And the thing that I'm always quite impressed about it is that it doesn't seem to focus on Adobe at all. It seems to focus on really great sessions about instructional design or workplace learning, and then there are just like the odd Adobe-ish things going on. I say that as obviously big Adobe logos over everything. I quite like that.
Still. I mean, yeah, I would rather that because that shows me that you have an understanding of the space that you're trying to make a statement in, as opposed to every single thing just looking like an ad for itself. So like that's how it should be.
Yeah, and this is kind of why I'm annoyed, is the fact that Adobe do a lot of things so frickin' well. Like, the Creative Cloud is a fantastic collection of softwares. Like, it is the market leader in every other creative piece of software. But just completely shit the bed on rebuilding an authoring tool. Like, this is arguably the simplest thing they make. Like, when you compare this to the complexity of everything else in the Creative Cloud, this should have been a walk in the park.
Yeah, right. Especially hitting the foundational level things. Like
this is not complex new functionality. This is reliably export to SCORM, buttons that work, questions that you can simply edit. Like this basic stuff.
Yeah.
Real
it's the same gripes that I've had about, it's the same gripes that you and I have about storyline and creating in storyline. It's like, can we just get some basic quality of life things out of the way?
This is it. If I thought the company couldn't do it, then it wouldn't actually be annoying. It would be, hey, look, I know you're trying. These are areas to improve. But these companies are great companies. They do great work. So there's no reason for them to have launched something so bad. Yeah, but there we go.
I'm trying to find release notes, and I cannot find release notes for the life of me for Captivate since its launch. Like at all. Yeah. Which was always the running gag back when I was doing like I stopped doing Captivate updates because like nothing new with Captivate. They didn't do anything. They don't care.
Now they do care, but they're staying very quiet because they'd have to acknowledge all the bugs.
They never. No. Oh god. So learning, I understand. So what's new in Adobe Captivate? If you scroll down to the bottom of the what's new in Adobe Captivate, they've got a link for known issues, and that's what takes you to the release notes, which is the one release note. That's guys, you're Adobe. I like Captivate. That's a good one. That's a real good pun. That's probably gonna get stolen. Carrie, you gotta let me know what they say at the Adobe Learning Summit, and then feel free to just like blurt out Captivate if they try to just avoid the issues. I will make you a shirt.
Okay, I know it will be
brought on by NOONOURI. She will sing a song called Dominoes that you can use to talk about Adobe and Captivate's progression.
I will mute you. I will mute you and carry on the show.
Carry on.
There we go. Some other maybe smaller topics because I know we've got 25 minutes.
Yes,
LinkedIn
I've
has
heard
launched.
stuff.
Yeah,
good.
LinkedIn has launched collaborative articles. I really like this. I like
because I got invited to do a couple.
Yeah,
it's like a little new thing.
This is really cool. And actually, you know, I went in and shared some opinions and stuff, but reading some of it, it's like the best stuff I've ever read in a LinkedIn article, which, broadly speaking, I think are usually written by people who like to write a lot more than they do think. But usually, I have a daily LinkedIn article. It's like, oh great, your thoughts spewed all over the internet on a daily basis. This can only go well. Apparently, a post was not enough space for them. They needed an entire article. But these articles
What
are
are the learning
just
trends of today?
this, well, yeah, as opposed to yesterday. Scary thing is, they probably do change daily. So, but yeah, these articles, they just seem like such a great way of kind of that classic wisdom of the crowd thing. Of, any one person is probably going to be a little way off the truth, but collectively, by gathering a lot of information, we get closer and closer to what we could regard as a fairly generalized truth. And some of the
I'm
stuff
just
I've
part
come
just
across in there
like
has been
posts and
great.
comments. Like, I was engaged in a conversation today about what I have now started to appreciate as the double-edged sword of a portfolio, um, which was real good. And it's one I want to think about a little bit more of, when you've got candidates by the hundreds coming into a job and you have a portfolio, what do you do? Do you focus on the final product that you might not have had a full hand in and kind of remove the details because you only got so much time to show off your work, or do you show off the skills that, do you show off like the knowledge that you applied and risk whether or not they have the time to even look at it? It's been an interesting conversation. I like the idea of give me a bunch of different perspectives. It's just posts and comments kind of consolidated, but with better people talking. And something that's a lot more like, it's something that's more like consolidated and focused. Focused. I like it. I've really liked it.
If anyone watching hasn't seen this, if you go to linkedin.com/advice, it takes you directly to that section of LinkedIn. And then you can filter by kind of topic and then just get involved in any of the articles or just read the articles. And yeah, I just saw it. It's a nice way of trying to gather knowledge and exchange information. And I just looked at it and thought, this once again is not something you see on learning platforms. Collaborative article writing. Such a simple
This
thing.
is stuff I would have liked to see from Delve. This is stuff I would love to see from all those talk we have about, can we bring the knowledge of the people in our company to help other people in the company? Because right now that's just a wiki that is nightmare fuel because 80 different people didn't know that 100 other ones are having the same conversation. It's actually a really good idea thinking about it. Now I'm thinking about, again, you one day you and I will end up just designing an app of our own that solves these issues.
Technically,
really cool.
I'm working on that. Thrive.
Well, you're welcome.
But yeah, I get what you mean. Like it does just feel like there are tons of these things out there that we talk about, decentralizing content creation and enabling kind of the sharing of knowledge and all this kind of thing. And then something so simple like this from LinkedIn comes out and you're just like, how is this the first place I'm seeing that? It's used to train some future LinkedIn AI feature. Okay, yeah, that is a very real and scary possibility. We must immediately start feeding these articles with bizarre facts to test this.
I've worked in email marketing. Don't get me started. There's the amount of stuff that's just scraped and turned into garbage. That's nothing new. And
this is it.
I put it in chat as well. Like if AI is going to if AI is going to end up taking over whatever my stuff is, I'm going to get whatever time I can now. Like, all right, well, I got a couple months. You're going to do this anyway. But if you need me for a couple months, I might as well be useful for a couple months before I become irrelevant.
I think this is it. I'm choosing to look at this, I think, in the most charitable and positive way, because I think there is I think it would be nice to, when reading the articles, I found a lot of people that I didn't know and that I've never heard from before, but talking about things that I'm really interested in. Interested to the point where, like, I wanted to make a contribution to the article. And therefore, everyone that I saw who had also made a contribution to the article was like, these are people who very much care enough to contribute to something that I care about. Let me talk to them, let me connect. It's a great networking tool, as well as that just sharing of information. So, yeah, the AI ID update. Yeah, sure, why not?
AID update. Again, there's going to be an element back in my original criticisms of like AI. One of the things that I pointed to that became a big topic was the concept of outsourcing. And one of the ways that we got around the whole, we didn't like outsourcing was we emphasized made in America or made in, country of choice. And that became a big selling point. I wouldn't be surprised to see some elements of that here. Okay, so what if it trains an AI to do whatever the heck? People are going to find certain elements of joy in actual people, and I would just market it this way: actual people are giving you actual thoughts on things, and that might be enough of a selling point. I would hope that there's not, as much as we can talk about our concerns with AI, I think the biggest concern is that as an entire society, we become okay with everything we do and every standard being 100% automated. I would hope that at some point we as humans, we as workers, as professionals, look and say, you know what, I am much more interested in the insights from somebody who has actually been in the industry for 10 years than somebody who is merely just a book written by a robot with good facial hair.
Well, that's me out of the market, powering down. No,
I'm too patchy.
But no, this is, and that was kind of my point about the Warner Music story. It's not the actual music that's the problem to me. It's the willingness to say, yeah, isn't it great that it's not a human being? But no, why is that okay to say all of a sudden? Because I think that's the start
Warner
of
set the line of, man, it's so great to not to have a worker that's not a human being. It would suck even worse to have everybody else, the entire world say this is fine.
But I think that's the start of the slippery slope, because it always starts there. It always starts with, oh, that's outrageous. It's like, is it? What about this scenario? And you're like, oh, yeah, actually, I quite like the sound of, and there we go.
And if that's the case, then I'd be so much more concerned that people are okay with AI standards than the entire world listening to that goddamn song and finding it good.
There we go. Look, this is it.
Somebody
I've had
with
that
a guitar,
problem with music for many years now. So,
can anyone bring an acoustic guitar into the damn conversation again? For the love of God!
Hopefully. But yeah, so I think there's. I just wanted to put that topic in there because I came across them, contributed to a few, thought actually this is really cool.
Like I said, I got an email on it.
It's a positive story.
Yeah, we invite you to collaborate. I was like, this is really neat. I like that.
It's at least something different, which LinkedIn needs, because it is getting a bit,
It's getting a little silly. I mean, I say this myself as somebody who definitely has been posting a little bit more kind of, I try to be at least semi-professional, my spicier takes and frustrating things like that. But there's a lot of stupid stuff out there. I think one of the things I really like a lot about the collaborative articles is there isn't really a lot of clout associated with it. Yeah. Like I'm not tied to, man, I hope this gets reach. Man, I hope this gets likes. I hope this gets reposted. I hope all those things. That's the thing I like. I hope that never changes, because that would break collaborative articles.
Yeah.
I can post a collaborative article. I can be like, hey, I posted in collaborative articles, happy to share this. But the article itself is not one of those things that impacts your own individual reach. That needs to stay that way, because then it's just people who are investing time with no care about the clout.
Yeah.
At least that type of clout, which is the easy, instantaneous clout.
Yeah. Being loud, basically. I like the fact that it doesn't immediately put on your profile that you contributed to this article. Like, it's just you do it and then it's gone, unless you tell someone about it, which I've not seen many people doing, which makes me really happy. If people can continue to restrain themselves, I think there will remain something really positive. So obviously next month it'll be, oh, look, people ruined it. But we'll see.
These 17 AIs contributed to this.
Oh, yeah, you can guarantee that's going to happen without a shadow of a doubt. Cool. So,
that started to happen anyway.
Yeah, well,
I've seen like a couple like AI writes poems, and there's been some really stupid takes on those things. And honestly, I'm actually interested in a book of AI writing poems, because it's no different than those funny. We had an AI watch the entire Saw series and try to make the sequel, and like, it's hilarious. There's a live stream on YouTube that is constantly running of AI writes and generates a Family Guy episode. It's nightmare fuel. It is awful, but man, is it funny to see. If you want to feel good about your ability to construct sentences, go watch this thing. It's magic. It's magic. So bad. Anyway,
So we're down to our last 15 minutes, so I just want to cover a few other quick things off. First of all, thank you to everyone who has responded to the AI adoption and desirability survey.
I was going to, and I got to question 6, and I was like, "Oh, I shouldn't do this because I'm not actually aligned with anything, and I would be making stuff up." So I didn't, but I saw that.
Okay.
It's a good survey.
The level of response has been awesome. It's going to take me a very long time to work through the data, and I was hoping to get the report out by mid-October. Cool. I don't think I'm going to sleep much. We got many hundreds of responses, which is awesome, but oh my god, chill. Would be my response. So yeah, tomorrow's the last day to complete it, so if you haven't already, please do consider filling it out. The report will go out, as I say, mid-October-ish. I'll do a video to go with it as well. But I'm hoping that this can become kind of like the first in a fairly regular sort of stint of doing surveys and reports and industry kind of insight pieces, as a little bit of a attack for the channel. Partially just because I've been kind of struggling to be bothered to make another video about, a tool, or a look at this, or a look at that.
I'm ending text and drafts, so but I'm bringing training as blank back
cool.
in its stead, because I want to be smart with smarter people than that industry.
Fair enough. Fair enough. A couple of other bits just to fly through. iDTX. iDTX 2024 is definitely happening. The dates are going to be February 13th, 14th, and 15th. So moving it forwards kind of half a month, purely because we now have other L&D conferences here in the UK when I would like to put iDTX, and running it at the same time of that is not going to work. So I've had to.
What are you doing submissions for that? Because I would love to do a talk on corporate politics.
Submissions will open up on Monday along with the website. So there will be big posts coming out about that.
And I will not I will not try to put the whole thing together in 24 hours.
Excellent. That's good to know. There is another.
I had to last time because I helped you out, but
you did.
I like how that one
massively last time. Couple of things changing this time. And I'm going to do a video at launch talking about why and what it means and all this other stuff. No change in terms of what it's about. Free to attend, free to speak at. The most interesting people get the speaking slots. That's the metric. That's all that counts. With all of that said, the last 3 years of running it have been rather expensive. So, spent a lot of time, put out a video, solicited a lot of feedback from people about how this should be funded moving forwards. The model that I am going for is tickets are available completely free of charge, but there will be an option to do a kind of pay what you want to pay as well. So if you want to go, hey, look, I can afford to pay £5 for a ticket, you can do that. Equally, you can book a completely free ticket. Absolutely fine. The tickets will default to free and be advertised as free. So what I don't want is for it to be a case of, oh, well, you're taking a free ticket, freeloader, blah, blah. No, it's predominantly a free conference. I just need to find a way of not, completely destroying my bank account every time we run this thing. We are going to look to take on a couple of event sponsors. The sponsors will not speak at the conference. That it will not be a buy a place on a stage type sponsorship, which is going to make finding the right sponsors very, very difficult, but that's absolutely fine. That's kind of
I got
the
hints
point.
for all you sponsors. Please don't watch past episodes of the ID update where...
Oh, do, because if you don't like that, you shouldn't sponsor the event.
Sorry, Apple, Articulate, Logitech, Samsung. Oh, there's a lot. Actually, Samsung will be on this. It'll be fine.
They do just as bad things as anyone else. Affairs. At the start of this episode, what was it? There's no such thing as a company that's good. They're not your friends. They're there to make money. You should join a union. Like, that's a pretty...
Yeah.
You know, that
Fair play.
if you don't like that, then yes, you absolutely should not sponsor iDTX. It would be a terrible idea for you. So basically, the
Or
only
you know what?
change...
Or you know what? Talk to Tom and say challenge accepted. Let's go.
This is it. This is it. It says a lot about business if you can sponsor an event where someone may well criticize you for something you've done wrong, and you can be like,
I mean, that's what happened with Arby's
fair.
and Jon Stewart, where Arby's, who's been ripped on for years by Jon Stewart, sponsored aggressively in his last month that he was there, just to spite him, and it was brilliant.
This is it. I don't think I quite punch with the same impact as a Jon Stewart, but there we go. But yeah, so the only difference from the user perspective is going to be that there will be some sponsored branding around kind of title slides and things like that. That will be it. There will be no sponsored talks. There will be no selling at the event. That will not change. The other thing that's coming with iDTX, and I kind of maybe whispered about this a little bit earlier, we're going to do an in-person one. And it's going to be in October next year.
I'll be very poor. I can't make. Maybe I can make it. You never know.
We are going to make it hybrid as well, so people from all over the world will be able to join. But the goal is to have enough space at a venue, most likely in Birmingham, for about 300 people to be there in person. It'll, obviously, one day, much smaller than the virtual one, but then that will also then be live streamed out at the same time. So it's not going to be, a loss to everything, and that is dependent on a number of things coming together, but the tracks are being laid.
Go help.
This is it. This is it. We're going to make it happen. It is. We're gonna get there.
That's so cool,
really
though. I am so proud to hear that. I am so happy to hear that.
Yeah. Well, it ultimately. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the event has been made by people showing up, by people being willing to come and talk and share ideas and get involved and tune in, and leave feedback after the fact as well. Like, it's not been missed that, a lot of the most popular videos on the channel are IDT episodes, recordings. Like, they are fantastic sessions. They always have been. So, this has very much been this year a case of figuring out how to make it keep happening as opposed to how to monetize it. That's been the real focus. It's because I don't need to make money doing it. I just can't afford to keep losing money doing it. That's kind of the really key thing. So really appreciate everyone's support on that and feedback that helped me make the key decisions. But that is it, I believe. We are going to finish with 7 minutes until our deadline. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Look at that. So thank you, everyone, for joining us and liking. I see we've got some likes on the stream already. If you're watching this after the fact, let me know down in the comments what you're thinking about these topics. If you'd like to come to iDTX or get involved or sponsor, do drop that in there as well. And if not, it's been a pleasure as always. Joey?
Yeah, good to be back. Well, I mean, I've been back, but it's good to be. This one felt good. I was happy to do this one.
Absolutely. Well,
not that I'm never not happy. I'm just going to continue to dig myself into a hole.
I get what you mean.
I told you last month, like, I am not in a headspace. I was the unemployment stuff gets you in a dark place after a while, but no, this one's a fun one to talk about.
Absolutely. And I think everyone gets that. Is like doing something like this every single month. Some months we're both just like, yeah, let's talk. They've got this going on, we've got that going on. Other months it's a bit more like, yep, we said we would do this.
Yes, it's November. Everyone's on a code freeze. Everyone's on a budget freeze. Everything sucks. What are we going to talk about? Which, by the way, join us for Q4 of the ID update. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Awesome. Well, on that note, we will actually wrap up the stream. And if we don't speak to you before, we shall see you at the end of October. That feels horrific to say. See you then.
I can't say the same because we are really excited to dress up our daughter as Winnie the Pooh.
It's Halloween, right? There we go.
So cool. I get that. I will not dress up for this.
Fair enough.
Maybe
right, well, we'll see you next month. Bye.
Cheers, everybody.
There's only one place for the breaking news in the world of instructional design. The ID Update with Tom and Joe. All the news you never knew you never needed. Only on IDT.